There are millions of people on Reddit. Most of them post memes, ask weird questions, or disappear into internet arguments no one will remember. But every once in a while, someone leaves behind something different. A post that feels wrong. A message that sounds too specific, too personal, too final. And sometimes, those posts become terrifying after people realize what happened next. Tonight's story is about one Reddit user who may have predicted his own death, or someone wanted everyone to think he did. This is the dark chapter. Before we begin, if you're into disturbing internet mysteries, creepy true stories, unsolved cases, and dark corners of the web, subscribe, because every video here is a new chapter you won't forget. And trust me, this one gets stranger the deeper you go. It started with a post, nothing flashy, no dramatic title, no viral image, just a quiet thread buried deep in a subreddit filled with people talking about fear, paranoia, sleep problems, and things they didn't fully understand. The account was relatively unknown, no major history, no obvious trolling, no huge calm account, just a normal-looking user who suddenly wrote something that made people uncomfortable almost immediately. The post said, "If anything happens to me this week, it wasn't an accident, that was it." No context, no names, no explanation. At first, people reacted the way Reddit always does. Some joked, some asked if the user was okay, others assumed it was just attention seeking. But then the original poster came back, and what he wrote next made the entire thread feel darker. He claimed that 4 days, he had been seeing the same car outside his apartment. Same model, same tinted windows, same parked position, every night, every morning, always there. He said he had tried to ignore it, tried to convince himself he was being paranoid. But then things escalated. He started hearing footsteps outside his door at night. No knocks, no voices, just footsteps, stopping, waiting, and then leaving. At that point, the comments stopped joking, because even online, you can tell when someone sounds fake and when someone sounds genuinely afraid. As more people found the thread, they started digging through the account, and that's when things got stranger. The user had made a few older posts over the previous month, tiny details, almost throwaway comments, but now, in hindsight, they felt like warning signs. One post mentioned that he thought someone had followed him home from work. Another said he'd found his front door slightly unlocked even though he was certain he had locked it. One comment mentioned hearing breathing through the phone after answering an unknown number. Each post on its own seemed explainable. Maybe stress, maybe anxiety, maybe coincidence. But stacked together, they started to paint a much uglier picture. Then someone in the comments asked the obvious question, "Have you gone to the police?" And the Reddit user replied, "I tried. They said I don't have proof." That one sentence changed the mood of the thread completely. Because now this wasn't just creepy, it felt helpless, like someone was documenting the beginning of something bad. In real time, people begged him to stay with friends, to leave town, to install a camera, to call family, to not be alone. And for a little while, it seemed like he was listening. His final update that night read, "I'm staying awake. If anything happens, I'll post again." And then, nothing. At first, no one thought much of it. It's Reddit. People vanish all the time. Threads die. Accounts go inactive. Life moves on. But this felt different, because the post had already created this quiet, growing dread. People kept checking back. Hours turned into a day, then 2, then 3. No new comments, no edits, no activity anywhere on the account. And then, someone claimed they found something. A local news article, small town, short report, barely any details. But the timing was disturbing. A man had reportedly been found dead in an apartment, under what police described as unclear circumstances. No name was released publicly, but according to users trying to connect the dots, the location seemed to match clues the Reddit poster had mentioned in previous comments. That was enough. The thread exploded. Suddenly, what looked like paranoia started feeling like a countdown. And that's when the internet did what it always does best and worst. It investigated. Reddit users began archiving everything. Screenshots, deleted comments, timestamps, location hints, posting patterns. People tried to figure out who he was, what he did for work, who he might have been afraid of, and almost immediately, the theories split into two camps. Theory 1. He really was in danger. This theory says the user was being stalked, possibly by someone he knew, possibly by someone watching him for days or even weeks. Supporters of this theory point to how consistent his fear seemed. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just specific enough to feel real. The car, the footsteps, the unlocked door, the silence, and the final line. If anything happens to me this week, it wasn't an accident. That doesn't read like performance. It reads like someone trying to leave a record. But then there was Theory 2. It was all staged. Some people believed the entire thing was fiction, a carefully written og, an internet horror experiment. Maybe the user wanted to go viral. Maybe they wanted to create an urban legend. And to be fair, Reddit has seen that before. Creepy stories designed to feel authentic. Posts that blur the line between truth and performance. But there was one problem with that theory. The account never returned. No reveal, no gotcha, no follow-up, no confession, nothing. And if it was a stunt, it was an unusually committed one, because the person behind it disappeared completely. But out of everything in the thread, there was one detail people couldn't stop talking about. In one of his buried comments, written before the main post blew up, the user said this: "The weirdest part is, I think they want me to notice." That line hit people hard, because it suggests something worse than random danger. It suggests intention, not just being watched, but being made aware of it. Like whoever was outside the apartment wanted fear to build slowly, wanted him to sit with it, wanted him to lose sleep, wanted him to wait. And that's what makes stories like this so disturbing. Not gore, not violence, not shock, but anticipation. The feeling that something bad is already on its way, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. That's what stayed with people. Not whether the story was true, but how believable it felt. Because if you've ever had the feeling that something was wrong, before you could explain why, then this story gets under your skin fast. To this day, no one knows for sure what really happened. Maybe it was a genuine cry for help from someone who knew they were in danger. Maybe it was one of the most convincing internet horror stories ever posted. Or maybe the truth was buried before anyone could reach it. And that's the strange thing about the internet. Sometimes it preserves evidence, sometimes it creates fiction, and sometimes it leaves behind stories that sit in the space between both. Unfinished, unverified, and deeply unsettling. So the question is, was this Reddit user truly being hunted? Or did he create the perfect disappearing act? You decide. And if you've ever seen a disturbing post online that felt a little surreal, drop it in the comments, because that might be the next chapter. Subscribe for more disturbing true stories, internet mysteries, creepy Reddit cases, and dark unsolved chapters. This has been the Dark Chapter, and I'll see you in the next one.